Bill Cameron was born in Oklahoma City in 1959 to C.B. and Joe Carroll Cameron, just 1 year before his grandfather started his own company. Little Bill couldn't have known that one day he would be running his grandfather's company at a very young age. Besides bugging his little sister Linda, what did young Bill like to do?
I think I liked doing a lot of stuff that boys did growing up at that age. It was before the internet and before cable TV, and so you did a lot of things that I think were really good developmentally. You played throwback football with friends, and played t-ball, and played soccer as I got a little bit older. Played just a lot of activities like that. Worked on cars. I still remember tearing my car apart and putting it back together and ending up with a whole box full of extra parts.
This idyllic childhood came to a screeching halt his senior year of high school, when his family was in a plane crash, losing his father and leaving his mother in a wheelchair.
Anyway, because of the airplane accident and losing my dad, kind of a critical time when I was 18, but in a very visible manner. A lot of people stepped in and were very good family friends, and I was very lucky to have several people as mentors, and my grandfather certainly being one of them. Even though he was going through the grief of losing his son, and sometimes we would clash, as I think any father and son does about that age. He really imparted a lot of values to me, which was tremendous.
Bill spent 4 years at Dartmouth, and after a brief few years working for another financial institution, he began working with his grandfather in the family business.
Probably, in retrospect, I wonder if maybe he wasn't trying to toughen me up a little bit, and because we had the episodes where I quit and he fired me, and then we'd figure out it was hard to fire your grandson and it's hard to quit your family. But we had a lot of conversations about that, and those were not always the calmest conversations that I ever had, but looking back on them, they were important, and I learned a lot from him. He was truly a self-made man. His father was disabled when my grandfather was in his teens, and his dad was a sharecropper, and so my grandfather truly was kind of that Horatio Alger self-made man during the middle of the Depression. So it was a interesting experience to work with him and learn the values that he had in business for someone that was coming out of college in the 80s, and so it was great to get that perspective of his life lessons and the different background that he'd started at than where I did.
Bill worked steadily building the company over the next few decades. During that time, he married and had 3 beautiful girls: Caroline, Liza, and Claire. Bill is a partner in the Oklahoma City Thunder, but ironically, it was his daughter's interest in basketball that made him think owning a women's basketball team would be great for female role models. He brought the Detroit Shock to Tulsa. Bill's love of history and a heart to help people prompted his involvement with the Amazon Conservation Team.
We work with the shaman in the rainforest to help them preserve their lands, help them preserve their medicines, and then help them preserve their cultures as a people. And it's been fascinating for me in lots of different ways to understand the environmental impacts on a region that has 20% of the world's fresh water, that is the critical driver of the weather patterns in South America and all the food crops that derive from the rain that comes out of the rainforest region and still helps fertilize the crops in South America.
Bill credits his father with teaching him to be curious and always engage the world, and says his mother was always supportive and made him feel like he could do anything. The family of companies have grown more than 500% since 1994. Mission accomplished. Bill and his companies are known for community involvement, and more than 200 organizations benefit from the company's manpower and financial contributions. American Fidelity has been one of Fortune magazine's 100 best places to work in America each year since 2004. Bill sees his job as keeping things in balance in his work, in his community, with his family, his faith, and in the charity work he does. His curious nature never sleeps. It can't. It's part of his legacy, his DNA. which is why Bill Cameron is this year's recipient of the Oklahoma City University's Meinders School of Business Chairman's Award.